So today we're talking about what it takes to cast a spell. So performing a spell just means setting an intention and then conducting a ritual. So this could be lighting a candle, which is what we're going to talk about today, or it could be meditating in a bathtub, it could be tying knots in a string, it could be paper magic, it could be simply writing out a gratitude list, repeating mantras, it could be kitchen magic, putting your magic into the food you eat, tea magic, putting your magic into the tea you drink, herbalism, all sorts of different things could be a spell. Today we're going to be talking about candle spells, as I mentioned, and what it takes to create a spell, what each part means, why we do each piece of it. So most witches believe that the universe is full of energy and that casting a spell is just how we harness that energy. So we have done a session on candle magic in the past, but if you missed that session, candle magic is a type of sympathetic magic in which you manipulate something on the physical realm and it changes something in the spiritual realm. And many beginners find success with candle magic because it is fairly simple and it's familiar. Most people are familiar with lighting a candle. The only difference with candle magic is that you're lighting your candle with intention. So, as I said, we're going to be going through a simple spell today and see how all of the different components of creating a spell are also components of the law of attraction, which we talked about in a previous session. So today's spell is about boosting money, which I imagine no one would be against having a little bit more of. As long as you perform this spell with focused intention, it will bring surprisingly delightful results of more money into your life. Remember again that it's important to not think about the hows of the matter. We're believing without seeing. Don't worry about the hows. Don't wonder about the how extra money will enter your life, because that is a signal to the universe that you don't trust it to work for you. And this doubt that you have will actually attract more doubt and more reasons to doubt. So we're going to go over the spell and why certain pieces are important, what they do for the spell, so that you can know how to create your own spells at any point using what you have on hand. Before we look into this spell, let's just revisit what magic is, the definition of magic. It's the art of directly manipulating the natural energetic forces that shape our lives. So it's a useful definition. It doesn't really get into how the manipulation of the forces is achieved. Depending on who you ask, you will no doubt get different explanations of how, but most practitioners will probably agree that magic boils down to creating a vision of what you want to achieve and powering it with your feeling of having achieved it. But again, we don't really need to know the how of it. We just need to know that it does work. So doing so effectively will create and deliver circumstances into your life that match the vision and feeling that you put out there. Whether the results seem to be an exact match, a partial match, or better than what you envision, remember that this or something better will depend on your ability to focus, your energy, and to trust in the outcome. So each component of this spell is designed to maximize focusing your energy, and spells generally call for some sorts of ingredients. These ingredients are how you anchor your mental energy into the physical realm in order to change things in the spiritual realm. So your thoughts brought into the physical world. And from the principle of correspondence, we know that things that happen in the physical realm must also happen in the spiritual realm. So that's basically what a spell does. So the reason we have these tools, we'll start by talking about the tools. As human beings, we are physical creatures, so we spend our lives creating and acquiring and using physical objects. So this is fundamental to who we are as a species. And this is why spells so often require some kind of physical item to be involved in the spell. It helps us to focus our intent on our desired outcome in a way that simply dreaming about it wouldn't work. And tools provide us with a concrete way to send our message to the universe about what we desire, and the spell is the vessel that holds that message. So this is the tool I use for carving. I don't know what it is or where it came from, but it works really good for carving into wax. So that's what I use for carving into wax for spells. And this is my candle holder, simple white thing. I think is $1 at most occult stores. I'm sure you can find one. Because I'm using a spell candle, the candle holder is simply for safety more than anything. Doesn't really add to the spell necessarily, but it makes sure that you don't burn your house down, so it's really important. And then the candle. This is my spell candle, green candle. We'll talk about color in a minute, but as I mentioned before, candles are effective tools for beginners. The use of fire pulls in this idea of transformation, and because we can see the flame transforming the wick and the wax into smoke. But candles also feel really magical. They just by watching the flame, it's really mesmerizing. It's meditative. So candles feel magical, and they're also interactive. When you light the flame, you create change on the physical plane, and this, according to the law of correspondence, as I mentioned before, this same change has to happen in the spiritual plane as well. So you'll notice that my candle is green. The color is important to an extent. You could also use a gold candle, you could use a white candle, but you could really use any color you want and the spell would still work. There is symbolism but in color though. There's a symbolic connection between color and various human experiences. So for beginners, correspondence is probably most easily understood when it comes to color, because there are a lot of things that we already associate different colors with. Pink or red are often associated with love, and it's shown that these resonate with the vibrations in the physical body that are associated with loving feelings. And orange and yellow can brighten your mood, while blue and purple are more calming. So this is all because colors are essentially light moving at different rates of vibration. And the use of color is especially emphasized in candle magic, with every imaginable goal having one or more corresponding colors. Green is associated with abundance due to its association with vegetation that we rely on for survival, and it is considered a symbol of fertility and new beginnings. And of course, American money is also green, so that helps if you're an American. And you could also use gold, as I mentioned, which is universally associated with wealth and success. It's a precious metal that bears the same name, gold. Both of these colors would be really effective at strengthening your spell and to strengthen the signal you're broadcasting to the universe to request extra money be sent into your life. White is thought of to be a universal color, so you can use white for anything. But again, you could use any color in your spell for money, and it's not going to necessarily make the spell not work for bringing money into your life, but the green and the gold and even the white will maybe give it a boost because these colors are associated with those things. So you can also use herbs and crystals in your candle magic. If you watched the candle magic session, you already know this. I am using this anointing oil that I made ahead of time to dress the candle. It's a roller ball, so you can roll it onto the candle really easily. I used bergamot oil and citrine chips and shredded up $100 bills and then an almond carrier oil. But you don't have to use any of these things, or you can use all of these things. The reason you might want to use herbs or crystals and these other symbolic things like the money is that these things are associated with specific qualities and universally recognized for particular magical uses. So things like you can think about like lavender is used to promote peace and relaxation, among other things. Chicory root is good for overcoming obstacles or achieving your desires in life. And there are several reasons for why particular associations can be made, but underlying all of it is because of the principle of vibration, which we've talked about before. So the vibrational frequency of lavender matches the frequency of calm and relaxation. In this case, I associate bergamot with wealth because it is the flavor of Earl Grey tea, and as a kid I thought it was the fancy tea. So that's just an association that I grew up with, but it's not necessarily universally agreed upon definition. It might not be your association. Citrine is also in this bottle. It is thought to bring abundance because of its association with the sun, the giver of life. And the shredded $100 bills came from the Denver Mint. You can purchase these on eBay or directly from a mint if you live near one, but you could also use play money as well, or you could make dollar bills and shred them yourselves. I actually colored them green to add more greenness to the concoction, but you don't have to do that either. Then almond, the carrier oil, it's an herb that I associate with richness, which is why I chose it over something like hemp or coconut or something like that. But more importantly, it makes the oil safe to handle, and so I don't use up all of my precious bergamot oil. I can use only a few drops of that. Those are the ingredients of the spell. So I'll just dress the candle. Use the rolly ball. Just drop some on the couch. So we'll just do that. And then it's all dressed. The next thing is to think about your physical and mental environment. So it's really important to choose a place, a physical place where you can be calm and feel pleasant emotions. You won't be disturbed while you let the candle burn. We talked about this in the candle session as well. You can let the candle burn down. That's something that some people recommend, is letting the candle burn completely before the spell is finished. I personally believe that you can blow out a candle if you need to. This is your life breath, so I don't think that it messes with the spell, but some people, again, do believe that you should never blow out a candle spell, that it will mess with the magic. And if you're one of those people, then you can certainly let it burn down as much as you can, or as much as until it goes out itself. If you have to go to bed or leave or something, you can always leave it in the sink or in the bathtub or on your stovetop for safety. But make sure you're in a place where you can leave your candle burning and you can feel comfortable and start to enter into a meditative state, however you do that. Just like you need a place to chop vegetables, to prepare a meal, or a desk, and a reasonable amount of quiet for writing or for studying, it's important to designate an environment for working your magic. And this is something that we talked about in the sacred space session, as well as a space that can be used for magical and spiritual purposes. Most witches have some sort of altar or other workspace that they do all of their spell work. You can use a dual surface like a coffee table or a dresser top. For spell work, I would recommend that you clear anything else of these surfaces before doing the spell work. You can always return it later, but just so that you have a focused goal in mind in that space. And you can also arrange it with objects that are pleasing, that make you feel comfortable and calm, and that are related to the purpose of the magic as well. That can be really helpful. So you might include some flowers or crystals or things that make you think of abundance and wealth, etc. So that's for your physical space, but your mental space also needs to be ready for magical work. So if you're mulling over your events of the day, or your to-do list for tomorrow, or some kind of problem that has been going on that you are trying to solve, then you're not focused on your intention for the spell, and the spell will not be effective. So that's why it's also important to calm your mind before working magic and bring your focus to one specific goal. I like to ground and center while listening to meditative music and focusing on my breathing. But every mind is unique and your process might be different. As we talked about in the 3 strategies session, a regular meditation can be incredibly helpful in reducing your mental distractions overall, which benefits you not just in the terms of magic, but also in every other area of your life. So meditation is probably your best bet. If you don't know for sure what is helpful for you, definitely try meditation. But if something else works for you, then that's fine too. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is charge the candle. So you can charge the candle any way that you would charge crystals, using moonlight or sunlight. Obviously, sunlight might melt the candle or warp it, so be careful with that. You can use your own physical energy as well, your personal energy. So I do this by holding the candle, visualizing all of my power flowing into it, saturating it, so just really focusing on filling the candle up from the bottom to the top. And again, this is called charging. You can also speak your intention, so whatever your spell is for, you can speak to it now, or you can say it in your head if you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud. Something along the lines of, I charge this candle with my personal power to manifest new wealth in my life. So this is something that you do before you enact this spell, but after you've calmed your mind and cleared a physical workspace. But of course you could do this before you start. Like if you're using moonlight, you would have charged the candle several nights ago in the moon, and then now you're casting the spell. So that's really up to you. But since it is your personal energy or vibration that is ultimately activating the magical manifestation, you want to make sure that you direct your energy into the candle itself. So the next thing that you're going to do is the visualization stage of the spell. We talked about this in the law of attraction. Visualization is key for magic and for the law of attraction. So you'll spend a few minutes with the candle or setting the candle down if you want, and imagine the feeling of receiving money unexpectedly. So no matter what method of meditation and charging that you use for your spell, the stage of clearing clutter from your mind, this prepares your mental environment for this stage, the most important stage, which is visualization. But the clearer the vision of what you want for your life, the more effective your work will be. So visualization involves summoning one or more memory of what it feels like to receive unexpected money. And this just activates the process. So maybe you found $1 on the ground. Remember how that felt to find $1 on the ground, you pick it up, you put it in your pocket. Or maybe you received an unexpected check in the mail, something that you weren't expecting to receive, and it showed up. How did that feel? So this is just the first stage of getting the ball rolling, of feeling the way it feels to receive money unexpectedly. A surprised, happy feeling. If you've never had surprise money come into your life, or you can't remember a specific time, then it's okay to invent something as well. It doesn't have to be a real event that happened. You can imagine that you found money on the ground. How would that feel if you found money? The important thing is to feel the feelings that matches what you are imagining. And then you're going to imagine holding a pile of money in your hand. At this point, you're going to combine the feeling of finding the money on the ground or receiving the unexpected check or whatever thing you're imagining. Combine that feeling with the image of holding money in your hand. And keep this image in your mind until it feels right to you. Because now you are creating that image on the mental plane, which is the connection to the spiritual plane. And once something is in the spiritual plane, it's only a matter of time before it appears to us in the physical plane. All right, so in the visualization stage, you have built up this positive energy and you've built up this feeling of how it feels to receive money unexpectedly. And with this energy, you're going to carve into your candle a $sign. And your $sign might look different from mine if you don't live in America. But I'm carving a $sign into the candle with my carving tool. You could carve multiple ones. I did kind of a small one, so I might do a second. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it on there, but $sign. So carve the symbol into the candle, and you could use a different symbol. You could make a sigil, and you can carve this into your candle. The use of symbols in magic is long-standing tradition. You see it in ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, the Celts, many other traditions around the world. This is a method of communication that transcends language. So it's mundane with things like money, but also things like your traffic signals. And then on a spiritual level, when communicating with the divine mind, our subconscious mind understands symbols more than it understands words. Using symbols in magic is a really good tool. There's a ton of possibilities for using symbols in magic. You see it in runes, you see it in the tarot, you see it in astrology, tons of other ways that symbology is used to represent different outcomes that witches want to attract. And you can inscribe the symbols onto your magical tools. You can inscribe them onto pendants and jewelry and all sorts of different things that are part of your ritual. But the use of the $sign in this spell reinforces your message that you wish to attract money. So this is a symbol that is used to represent money in all forms of communication. And as the candle will burn, the wax will melt and it will turn into smoke. It will be transmuted into the air. Its message will be received on the spiritual plane, and then it will be transformed into actual dollars in the physical realm. So the next thing we do is we place the candle in its holder and we say, "Through the powers that be and natural forces, money flows to me from unknown sources." And the little rhymes, you don't have to use little rhymes like that. I like to because it feels natural to me, but I know that some people don't find it comes naturally. You can just say exactly what you intend. You can say the same intention that we said before when we were charging the candle. It's not required, but language is a powerful tool, and spoken aloud, it creates this place where the mind and body join as one to communicate the intention deliberately to the universe. So like thoughts, words have their own vibrational frequency. They can be used to send a message to the spiritual plane, what we're focusing on, and therefore what we want to attract back to us. A lot of times spells have used rhythm and rhyme for several reasons. First, it's easy to remember. That's why I like them. It's easy to pass them down to other people without necessarily writing them down, and especially before literacy was common and people didn't necessarily have pen and paper to write things down. It was easy to share these messages with other people. But another reason is that they can add a sort of a boost to the spell as well. The rhyme and the rhythm helps you to feel more connected with the spell. But if you find the sing-song quality of a spell or a rhyme to be distracting or disingenuous, then it's totally okay to not use that. But the important thing is, if you do use these types of words, these rhymes and rhythms in your spell, it's important to really believe the words that you're saying. And if you can't believe them, then it's probably better to just leave them out. And this is because while your words do have power, the universe is actually responding to your feelings. We've talked about this. So whatever your dominant vibration is, if the words don't resonate with that, or if they don't help to bring that vibration into your spell, then you're better off just not saying them. So you'll have to decide for yourself if you want to include the words or if you want to just feel the feelings. So the final stage is to release the spell. And it's important to continue to hold on to that feeling from the visualization of what it feels like, that surprise, happy feeling of receiving money unexpectedly. You'll light the wick, and as the wick catches, you'll say, "So let it be." And in doing this, this sends the image with deliberate, focused intent. Do you see that little green thing on my forehead? So this is one traditional way of releasing the spell into the spiritual realm. It's also known as sealing the spell, and can be thought of sealing an envelope before you put it into the mailbox. You're signed, sealed, and now you are delivering the spell to the universe. So you may use different words. You might not say, "So let it be." The purpose is essentially the same. It's to acknowledge that the work is done and to send it on its way. And this helps the practitioner, the witch, to transition back into their ordinary world. I'm going to set this down. We're letting go of the focus of the spell's purpose and trusting that it will be successful. So this really is essential. We did all of this work, and what's important now is to trust. Trust that you will see a surprise influx of money without any further effort on your part. After completing the spell, you just need to trust and to not doubt your magic. The law of attraction will bring you more doubt. If you doubt it, it will bring you more reasons to doubt. So be sure that you trust. And then after doing this type of spell, a lot of people like to just gaze at the candle flame for a few minutes. It helps me to relax, to just watch the flicker of the candle. It's a good way to wind down after focusing so intently on a goal. It's a way to sort of rebuild your energy again. A lot of people notice a lighter or easier mood after working a spell. If this is the case, just enjoy it. It's a really special feeling, and it's a unique feeling. Anytime your vibrational frequency is raised, just do your best to run with it and keep it that way for as long as possible. So that is how you do a candle spell. That is an idea for your first spell or for a new spell if you have already cast spells before. These spell candles are really nice because they don't generally have a lot of wax, messy wax. It's pretty efficient at burning the wax away as it burns. But you can, if you remember from the candle magic workshop, you can read the wax if there is any that drips down the side. You can certainly try to read it and see if there's some sort of message in it as well. But really, you're done. Just make sure you check on it every once in a while. Make sure that it's not burning anything up or doing anything unsafe. Other than that, you don't really have to do anything else except for trust that your intention is going to come your way. So that's your first spell. Thanks for watching. Look for the worksheet, which is really just the instructions I've gone over here and a few discussion questions. Can't wait to see your enwitched response. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Bye.